different kinds of options. And so with that in mind, we put together a plan about how to do that, how to change the code, how to find ways to implement other solutions. And so this is a great neighborhood to do that in, because it's got a lot of issues that are duplicated throughout the city, and it's got some other interesting obstacles that don't lend themselves to just standard, speed bumps or standard bulb outs or whatnot. So we put this together. And so let me just start with our agenda items. And Paola, if you'll go to the next slide. So tonight, what I want to talk about is a little bit of background. I talked about it a little bit already. I want to talk about our traffic calming plan. I want to talk about our proposed solutions that we're going to implement. And I want to talk about the schedule. And then finally, how you can continuously provide feedback for us so we know what we're doing is the right thing, or if it's not working. So one of the things we're wanting to do is, well, this is our background, and so this is the area that we're talking about. This is the area we're considering for our traffic calming area. Obviously, I won't do anything on Seacrest, but basically it's limited by pretty much the railroad tracks on the east, and then it's Boynton Beach Boulevard on the north, Woolbright on the south, and then 95. So basically, your neighborhood's smack dab in the middle of this. And so, one thing, Paola, I want to go back to that last slide again real quick. So one of the things I'm going to talk about later on in this presentation is what type of temporary applications we're going to apply and where we're going to apply them. The idea here is, we've got some hot spots. We hired a consultant. They told us where these hot spots were, or where they told us where the worst of the worst spots were. And so with that in mind, we wanted to try to take care of the worst as best we could. And so we wanted to try different options. And so while we might put something on Southwest 2nd Avenue, it might end up creating a problem on Southwest 3rd Avenue, because people might want to start bypassing some of the safety measures that we put in. We fully anticipate these types of things might happen. We never really know what's going to happen until it's had a chance to kind of work itself out, become the new normal, as it were, because once you have a speed bump or you have some type of traffic calming measure in your neighborhood, it does take a little while for the traffic to adjust to it. And so a couple of the things that we're going to be doing is when we install something, we're installing it on a very temporary basis. So you get something on your neighborhood, you don't like it, it's the worst thing ever. That's okay. And we want to hear from you. We want to make sure we know why you don't like it. And we're going to be studying it for a couple of months. And then if we find it's something that we like, or something you like, or something that works in the neighborhood, we're going to implement it into a more permanent solution. Keep in mind, when we say we're going to put something in temporary, it's something we're going to install. And if you don't like it, we pull it out. If you do like it, then we convert it from something that's mechanical and not attractive. We try to turn it into something that's going to be a more attractive feature for the neighborhood. And Paola will show you a couple of slides showing you before and afters of what we're proposing. Okay, so I'm ready to go to the next slide, Paola. So basically, this slide tells us where we've been and where we're going. And so this started off with an analysis. I told you we hired an engineer. They came in, they did a traffic study. The traffic study told us where the worst spots were. They gave us some ideas about, hey, let's try these methods to calm the traffic. We presented those to you about November, so almost a year ago we presented those to you. And the response that we got was overwhelmingly negative. And that sounds like a bad thing to say, but really it was good input. And we appreciate it, because we would have implemented procedures that you wouldn't have liked and that wouldn't have worked. And the reason they wouldn't have worked is because of some of the things that were said earlier in this meeting. People double parked, people were, and so when we try to put in these traffic calming measures and they double park, well, it negates the effectiveness of the things that we were proposing. And we wouldn't have known that without the community's help. So we got your input, and we would have been back in touch with you earlier this year, probably March or April of this year, except for our little friend COVID hit, and it really put a hurting on us, and we didn't know how to communicate with you. We don't want to put something in your neighborhood that you don't like, you don't want. And so now we're getting to the point where we've found technology that allows us to work around the restrictions of COVID. And so now this is our second meeting. So now this is our opportunity to show you what we proposed. So as we look back at our slide here, after our second meeting, which is tonight, we're going to talk, we've got an installation that we'll be putting in. We'll talk about the schedule for this later. We're going to do data collection after we put the temporary measures in, see why they work, see how they're working, see how they didn't work. And then we're going to move on in the final phase of our construction, which is install permanent traffic calming measures. All right, Paola, I think we're ready for the next slide. So after this slide, I'm going to turn it over to Paola for a little bit. She's going to tell you, she's going to show you the before and afters. But our project here consists of two different items. One is the traffic calming, which is what I've been talking about and focusing on mainly so far. And then the second thing, that'll be the last slide Paola talks about, is around the school, we're going to do some special signage. FDOT and Palm Beach County School Board, they approached us and they asked us to bring our striping in this area up to a standard that they have. And we're excited to do it. Problem was we had a road project going on. So we would have done this a long time ago, but we didn't want all the striping to be put in only to be obliterated by the project that you had ongoing. But now that that's wrapping up, it's something we're going to schedule. And with that, Paola, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Great, thank you, Gary. Okay, yeah, just like Gary was talking about, we have several different kinds of traffic calming structures that we are proposing to install in the neighborhood. Over to the side, you'll see a close-up of the map, which is also available at the website for your use. But we really selected one location where we're hoping to put a speed bump. And on the top picture, you'll see how it will look in the temporary condition. Normally it's plastic bumps that we buy and they get drilled onto the road. So they're easily removed once we're ready for the next step. In the bottom picture, you'll see a picture. This is actually recently being installed on Boynton Lakes. So that's actually a picture here for a speed bump. So that's that, pretty self-explanatory. Another one of the solutions that we came up with was to do some road closures. The map here shows 4 different locations that we have identified that we're able to do this. We're gonna do this with the help of installing something that we call delineators. And you see a picture of that on the corner. I feel like we all have seen it, driving around. And they're just easily, again, installed on the pavement with some glue and some nails. So, it will keep people from driving through. But if there is an emergency vehicle, anything that happens like that, they could drive over them. And that will stay there until we're ready then to go to the permanent condition. And as we do more of the engineering, the studying of the area, then we'll be defining further how it will look like. But what we're showing right now is just potentially some green area and a sidewalk so that people could use it for recreational. But this is just like an image of how we're thinking right now it will look like. But again, we haven't really further designed it. But definitely what we're looking to do is just to prevent people to just continue to cut through these areas.
If I may, I just want to interject.
Yes.
So Ms. Cohen, this is something that we would probably do. You would address some problems on 4th Street. So this is what we were thinking about, stopping some of those problems on 4th Street. And then I think a question might be coming up a little bit later is, who's going to maintain these new green areas? And the city would, if we end up putting in a green area, the city will maintain it. So everybody knows.
Great. That's right. Okay. Another one of these solutions that we came up with will be at, potentially 3 different locations within the neighborhood here. We're calling it right turn only. And what we're really trying to get people to stop doing through here is to just speed through the intersection without really stopping. So they could make all the turns, but they really cannot continue to go on or, northeast or south. Northeast or north-south and vice versa on the intersection. Again, we're showing it as a green area. We potentially will do that, but more details are to come. And in the temporary, we're gonna use the same delineators to just kind of cut that intersection through to see how it will work. So obviously, you know, one of the issues that we have is that people really don't stop at the stop signs, right? So this is gonna make them definitely stop and make that turn much more carefully. All right. So next,
Go back for a second.
yeah.
I really like the road closures. I just noticed that you put the road closure right next to the church there on that last screen. Is that correct? Can you go back a screen, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right at the church area. How's that going to affect the church if they can't make a right? If someone comes down Southwest 6th Avenue or if people are leaving, just some food for thought on that one.
Okay.
That one, Southwest 6th Avenue, that right turn only right next to the church might be a problem for the church. But we'll get back to that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It just, that popped out. It was blaring, popping out. Like that could be a problem in our neighborhood.
That's okay.
My apologies.
No, sir. No, sir. We
Sorry about that.
understand. Thank you. I took note of it.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So the plateau intersection looks to be the one improvement that we're gonna do the most. And you'll see some of the locations there. So what the plateau intersection is really a raised intersection. In the temporary condition, we're gonna put a couple of speed bumps there, plastic speed bumps. So people will have to make that stop and go slowly through the intersection. That and like you see in the picture, temporarily will be 2 speed bumps, and then at the plateau will then be just raised asphalt. If that's what we actually do come up with the best solution for the area. So again, I want to remind you that there is a map available with every single one of these locations. I understand the map may not be very readable, and we tried our best to zoom in as much as we could, but please go back to the website and download or just look at that map, and you'll be able to kind of zoom in where you live and see what's gonna be the closest to you. All right, and the last one of the improvements that we have is we're calling it a diverter. So we are just, everybody here will be able to still make all the turns at the intersection, but they will definitely have to slow down to go through it. We'll be using, what are these things called?
Post indicators.
Oh, yes. And we're gonna then eventually do an asphalt, just, you know, maybe not grass area, but again, we'll be looking at more design before we know what we're gonna put there. But yeah, delineators, again, we kind of trying to keep it simple so that there is not too high of a cost for the temporary condition, because we do realize that things could change as we hear back from you. And we do more data analysis. So lastly, just like Gary said, we want to let you know that the signage and striping upgrades for Forest Park Elementary are going to be part of this project. We have met with the school, we have met with the police. They all really agree that they need it. And we're going to be putting some stop signs and some other signage, and they will be able to enforce it. Hopefully to make everybody much safer as well around the children. And now with the new sidewalks and stuff, hopefully people will feel more safe to walk to school. And so we want to make sure that not only the kids, but also the parents and anybody else that may be walking to school feel safe. All right. I know I kind of went through that fast. There is, you know, quite a details that go to it, but in a nutshell, and that's what we have. If you have any questions, we'll be taking those at the end. But go ahead, Gary, take it away.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of points. We shared it with the school board police officer, which is a different police officer. So Officer Schreckengoss, if you want to look at this a little closer and provide some input, we would happily receive it. I've tentatively shown these plans to, I think it's Captain Hawkins now. So he's seen them, but he hasn't really studied them fully, but he's totally in support of the concept. So here we are on this slide. This slide tells us where we've been and where we're going. We kind of did this a little earlier, but it puts finer points on these bullets. So we met in November. This is our meeting. So after our meeting today, before you and I, or we as a group meet again, this is what our tentative schedule is. We're going to put in these traffic structures, these temporary traffic structures between October and December. And then we're going to evaluate them for 2 to 3 months. And then we're going to collect some data on them. And then between February and May, we're going to be coming up with final plans. You know, what exactly it is we're putting and where we're putting it and how it's going to look, who's going to be impacted, you know, the properties that are going to be impacted, the neighbors adjacent to where we're proposing. And so what we're hoping happens during this time between now and February and May, when we're finalizing some plans, is we get your input. It's real important that you stay involved. At the end of the slide, we're going to have a web page. Hopefully Doug will constantly communicate the web address to you guys, where we're going to have this video, because Paola's recording this now. So it's going to be on the internet. So all your friends and family and neighbors that haven't been able to watch this or haven't been able to get input will be able to tune in, see what they missed, and kind of keep us advised about how they feel about what's happening or what's about to happen. And then maybe you guys live in the neighborhood. So when we do something and it affects you, you see it every day. Whereas Paola and I, we don't see it. You know, we make assumptions based on traffic counts. And so we won't have all the information that you have. So your input is very important to making this project successful. Without your input, we're going to make educated guesses about what makes the best solutions for you. And it won't be successful. So please stay involved. So, you know, I told you we're going to make final plans in February and May. And so what we're going to come back to you in June for our hopefully our last formal presentation. And we're going to share the plans that we've prepared in February through May. And then we'll start to do full-blown construction, implementing the final solutions and you know, taking out the temporary and making it permanent. And so we want to be done by fall of 2021. So hopefully by this time next year, everybody will have a safer, calmer traffic neighborhood, and you'll have some good input, and you'll continue to be proud of where you live. So I was talking on the next slide, we talk a little bit about how to stay involved. Paola, if you don't mind, there you go. And so there's the website. So it's this is a Boynton Beach website. So you go to the Boynton Beach website, and you just type the / and then forest-park at the end. That'll get you to where we are. We'll get your feedback. You'll be able to review the map with our proposed improvements. Your neighbors will be able to do this. We're going to have a form that you can fill out that'll send your information to us. As soon as it's sent, we'll get it. We'll have input right away. And then if you know you feel more comfortable talking to staff, you talk to me. On the next slide, we'll be able to give you some information, but keep checking back to that webpage. Your main contact on this project is going to be Paola. She is a very bright woman. She's guided this project along quite a ways. She prepared all these slides, and I think she's probably more excited about this project than I am, and I'm very excited. So, but if you find you can't get a hold of her, I'm always happy to talk to you. And at this point, we'll open up for any questions you might have.
I want to get everyone's permission to go another 15 minutes. Is everybody okay with that? Are you okay with that, Gary?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm here at your disposal, so whatever you need.
It doesn't seem like we're anywhere close to finishing, and I want to get everyone's permission. And I want to share with you, I really appreciate you. As long as I've been doing these meetings, somebody has always come to a meeting and has said, people are driving way too fast in our neighborhood. So I'm very happy that you're doing this. So sorry to interrupt again, but let me go ahead, and I think Steve Farnsworth had a question too. Steve, if you're there, do you want to ask your question?
Hold on, Steve, we got to unmute you. There you
Go
go.
ahead.
Hi, I put my question in the chat quite earlier, but there's so many other comments. I'm sure it got lost. But at the last meeting, I thought that we were told that there was going to be a speed bump on Southwest 3rd Street, somewhere between Southwest 3rd Avenue and Southwest 4th Avenue, maybe, or Southwest 2nd Avenue. Did that change since the last meeting?
Pal, you got the map there. I was hoping you could see it better.
Yeah, I saw.
We've made some slight adjustments, so it's very, very possible that it has fallen off. It's probably something that we could probably reconsider. It's really some of the difficulty we're having is I don't want to jam too much and too dense an area. And so I'm trying to spread it out as best we can, considering the hot spots. So, I mean, we'll certainly take that into advisement if we don't have something there. Paola?
Yeah, we removed it. Now we have only, I'm gonna try to share the screen without really going through the presentation here. Let's try that here. Let me know if you can see that okay. We just now have it on 3rd and 4th, but we'll go ahead and make a note. All right.
After Steve, I saw Connie.
Who's that?
I wrote down Connie. She had her hand up, but I don't see her now. I'm sure she's still there. Just all the pictures got rearranged on my screen.
I'm looking for her as well here. There is quite a bit on the chat, so let me go back and.
Yeah, I see her. She's under Colin. It's alphabetical order.
Okay, so I'm just trying to go through.
I appreciate everybody being patient.
Yes,
we're learning the technology too, so.
Yeah, it's just every time anybody writes, it goes up. Okay, Susan is asking, when you find what works, come to Secret States and do something similar. Speeding problems on a handful of streets with a lot of kids. So that's
absolutely. The goal really is to be able to use this everywhere. I've got the same problems in every corner of the city.
That's right. Okay, if these traffic calming measures work for the Forest Park neighborhood, will they be considered in other neighborhoods? I live over Pence Park on the east side of the railroad tracks, and there are people who speed down on Southeast 3rd Street between 12th Ave and Pence Park. Is really scary for kids, pedestrians, and pets.
Yeah, the real idea behind this project or this project we're doing, this special project we're doing, is we're just trying to come up with a way to define what different types of projects are, or different type of traffic calming implementations are going to be. Because right now, I can tell you, we don't want to turn into a city that's speed bumps every street, every corner, and there's neighborhoods that have done it. We've all driven through them, and we don't want to live there. And so it's important to me that we were able to kind of provide different options that don't make, that aren't a rubber stamp. Oh, well, we got a speeding problem, let's put a speed bump. We want to be able to kind of find different ways and find the nuances in everybody's speeding problem and find an appropriate fix for it. And so we've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of reading. And so that's what the real goal is here. I want to get away from speed bumps. They're not a nightmare, but the problem is nobody wants them in front of their house. They want them on their street, but they don't want them in front of their house. Because when you got a speed bump, people drive as fast as they can to it. They stop as fast as they can. They go over it slowly, and they accelerate very fast over them. And what that is it creates a lot of noise in front of the homes where those are, and they slow emergency response. There's a lot of negatives, and so what we're trying to do is find the or ways to control speed that's positive. And so that's what we're working on. What's the next question?
Yes, we could move over to Miss Kathy. She's got her hand up.
Okay. Go ahead, Kathy.
Go ahead.
Southeast 3rd Street was mentioned, and I go down that street often, and those islands just are horrific. I cannot see. I've been, I'm not really sure why those islands were put in there.
Southeast 3rd.
Southeast 3rd, it runs right along Pence Park.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Southeast 4th. I got you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Southeast 4th. I understand why they did it, but as far as driving, it's horrendous.
Well, I live on Southeast 4th Street. I'm going to tell you why they put those in there. They put those in there. It's a canal when it rains. I have 12 inches of water in front of my house whenever it rains. It was a big disaster. I'm not a big fan. Sorry to add my 2 cents on that one.
No worries. I do want to focus this on, within our project limits. So if we could,
sorry about that.
Yeah, move back to the west of the railroad tracks. Kathy, I don't want to cut you off and say that I don't want to talk about it,
No.
but I'd be glad to talk to you offline about
Okay.
what you observe and see if there's something we can do.
Right. Thank you. Miss Susan says that she's a roundabout fan. She likes roundabouts. Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, we do too. The problem with the roundabouts is we'd have to do some property taking in order to make them fit
The right away.
some of the intersections where they're needed. And so it's really hard to, I'd like to put in a lot of them. But the problem is then it's, people have property rights and I would like to respect those. So we're trying to find something that's not quite a traffic. And so that's what, I don't know if one of the diverters that we have kind of mimics a roundabout in a sense, and it makes everybody slow down in all the directions to get where they're going. So we've got solutions that are approaching a roundabout, but not quite a roundabout.
Yeah. Great. So we got Connie giving us thumbs up. So that's great.
Okay, so we probably hit her question.
Thank you. Miss Susan says that great job, everyone. No speed bumps, but happy to see one other options, constant realignments on cars with bumps. So correct. Yeah. We don't like them either.
Well, and the speed bumps that I do end up putting in, they're not going to be terrible 12-inch wide, 6-inch tall speed bumps like you get through private developments. They're not, so if I did put them in, they're not going to be that terrible. They're you got to slow down, but it's not going to be that when you go over them that, your teeth get jarred. So the idea with the speed bumps that I try to put in, you got to slow down to about 5 miles an hour below the posted speed limit. And if you do that, so if it's 25 and you hit these speed bumps at 20 mile an hour, that's better. And so that's the other thing let me touch on real quickly is that may not have been immediately obvious, but when we do plateaued intersection, like Paola was talking about earlier, the temporary measures that we put in are going to be these temporary speed bumps, and they're likely going to be less user-friendly than the actual plateaued intersection they're trying to replicate. And so they're going to be a little bit more abrupt than the plateaued intersection. As you might imagine, if you go over a plateaued intersection, there's a little ramp at the beginning. You drive through the entire intersection that's probably 50 to 65 feet long or wide, and then you drive down the down ramp. So basically that plateaued intersection, the whole thing's raised. So you got to hit it slow and you got to drive off it slow. And so that's why I think the plateaued intersections is a nice solution and a nice alternative to the speed bump.
Right, correct. So there is, Evelyn disagrees on putting a speed bump on 3rd Ave, saying there's already a stop sign on the street. So.
I think that's part of the problem that we have is people run that stop sign. That was one of those stop signs that we got a police report on, and it was a highly active and a highly violated sign. So that's why we chose it. But again, we're going to rethink things based on the input we receive from you guys.
Absolutely. So feel free to also put your comments in the comment section of the website. Jackson has a question, so I'll go ahead and unmute you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm one of the houses right there on the on that kind of goofy S curve on Southwest 3rd Ave and 1st Street there, where you're putting a diverter in. Is there going to be any additional signage there or anything to warn about that? Because I mean, when you come down Southwest 3rd, you're basically coming right at my front yard, and you have to make that swerve to the left and then continue to go up. So I'm just figuring is there any signage, because I'm thinking my box is right there. Someone kind of doesn't notice it and takes up my mailbox or comes up over the lawn or something like that.
Sure. No, we will absolutely put signs, because even on these temporary measures where we're trying to replicate a plateaued intersection, I can't just put in a speed bump and I mean, if there's a stop sign there and then I have a plateaued intersection, that's one thing. Or I mean a temporary speed bump. Yeah. But if because usually I'm going to be blocking both lanes in 2 directions when I'm trying to replicate a speed or a plateaued intersection, and so in those areas, I'm going to have to put some kind of sign. So when people go through that intersection and they're not familiar with it and they don't know what to expect, that they're going to see that, oh yeah, there's a bump there. So there's going to be the bump, they're going to see the bump, and then they're also going to see a sign showing the bump, for sure.
As my extra 2 cents, making that a 4-way stop wouldn't be a terrible idea either. It's kind of I've been here for 15 years and I've seen some sketchy stuff come through here. So yeah,
the problem with 4-way stops is enforcement, right?
Yep, I hear you.
And so people don't stop for it now. You put 4 signs there. Oh, I'm still not going to stop for it. So that's what I'm trying to do is everybody's got bad habits, and I'm trying to help them unlearn them.
Understood. I like it though.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the great feedback. Susan is also excited about the diverters. So thank you, Susan, for the comments. We're doing great. We're about done, unless anybody else has any questions. Let me know.
Guys, we're sorry we ran long. I know we were trying to aim for 7:30, so sorry about that.
Yeah. Doug, they're thanking you for coordinating the meeting. Great things are happening, and have a great evening.
Well, I want to thank you. You were the one that set this up. This was the easiest meeting ever to plan. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Now that we figured out some technology, nothing takes the place of meeting together. However, this was the next best thing. So I want to thank everybody for making this happen tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Okay.
Feel free to contact us anytime.
Yes. Connie, do you have a question, or was that just you're approving? I'll go ahead and unmute you. I think that's just a clapping hands. So thank you. Yeah, we're done, correct?
Yeah.
All right, guys.